What are some primetime games to look forward to this year? Just who are the Texans playing this year? And what do I have their wins and losses looking like? Let's talk about that. What is going on, guys? This is Wade here with Tungsten Cap Sports, and we are back with another NFL video. This time detailing the schedule release. Finally, it has been dropped. We've been getting hints all throughout the past week or two, but now we finally got the official breakdown of everything. So today we're going to be looking at the strength of schedule for some teams, as well as primetime games, international games, what teams are playing for the holidays, and then we'll end our video going over just the Texans breakdown and what I see them coming out on top as. So, other than that, let's get on with the strength of schedule. So starting off on the hardest side, we've got the Cleveland Browns sitting at a .547 winning percentage, which is the, again, just in case you're confused, that is the winning percentage of the teams the Browns will be facing this year from last year. So the teams that they're facing won more than half their games, obviously. And then next we got the Baltimore Ravens at .536, the Pittsburgh Steelers at .533, the Houston Texans at .526, and then the Packers also at a .526. So the first thing that jumps out is the AFC North. I mean, three teams right there will be facing the hardest teams from last year. So the AFC North, as it always is for the most part pretty competitive, will obviously still stay competitive. The Texans and Packers, you shouldn't be too surprised to see these teams in here because they both had, well, actually the Lions ended up winning the division, but they both had a great year. The Texans came from out of nowhere to win the division. The Packers really surprised everyone in Jordan Love's first year and were able to sneak into the playoffs and really had a great run, almost making it to the Super Bowl. So the Texans and Packers, it was kind of obvious going into next year or this year that they would probably have a more harder schedule, as the Texans are going to be playing the first place schedule, and of course the Packers will be playing the second place schedule. But moving on to the easiest, and again, because this is the easiest, you could see one of these teams jump from worst in their division to now top in their division, as well as, make up ground in the playoffs, depending on, who they signed and drafted. So, of course, we got the Atlanta Falcons at a .453 win percentage, the Saints at .453, the Chicago Bears at .467, the Carolina Panthers at .467, and the Los Angeles Chargers at .478. So just like the AFC North, this time we see the NFC South with three teams there, all facing teams that had below winning records. So we could see the Falcons, with them signing Kirk Cousins, getting rid of Arthur Smith. We could see them, if Kirk is healthy, of course, come back into the playoffs, possibly win the division because they are facing what appears to be a easier schedule and easier record based on teams. We could also see the Saints and Panthers make a run in the division as well, just because they are facing an easier schedule. And then the Bears, like I said, Caleb Williams, there's a lot of talent on the Bears. Caleb Williams' first year in the league. So we could see, it would be a shocker, but it wouldn't be completely out of the picture to see the Bears win the division. I don't think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't be a complete shocker just because that offense is legit. But for them to win the division, Caleb Williams will have to have the greatest rookie season that we've seen. And then, of course, the Chargers again at .478. Jim Harbaugh taking over. They did trade away Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, so we'll see how Justin Herbert and the run game can produce. But again, we could see the Chargers sneak back into the playoffs because of that schedule they are facing. Now we're going to be taking a look at a number of sneak peek games for the NFL season. So we're going to be looking at week 1. We've got some international games, Thanksgiving, and then, of course, the Christmas games, just so we can go ahead and take a look at some things to look forward to. So Thursday, the week 1 kickoff, of course, will be the Chiefs, and they're going to be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. This will be a fun matchup, AFC Championship rematch, of course. We should see that if you have to face Patrick Mahomes, this is the time to face him, as the Chiefs have been notoriously slow starters. We still don't know the Rashee Rice situation. So if they're out, if they're down Rashee Rice, we could see the Ravens upset the Chiefs here at home. So looking forward to this game. A unique game, though, the next day, Friday, week 1, we're looking at the Packers and Eagles in Brazil. Yes, that is not a typo. They will be playing the game in Brazil. I'm very excited for this. I have no idea if the NFL will ever do something like this again. We know that they have done Mexico before. The MLB, they've been doing the Mexico series for a few years, as the Rockies and Astros played there just a few weeks ago. So this will be a very interesting game, and I think this is a good game to bring in more international fans. So the NFL was smart for that. And then the first Sunday night football game of the year will be the Rams at the Lions. Matthew Stafford versus Jared Goff. Of course, if you don't remember, they were both traded for each other. Stafford was able to win the Super Bowl with the Rams, and Goff, he is getting close. So we'll see if Goff can take that next step forward and lead the Lions to the Super Bowl. And to finish off week 1, Monday Night Football, we do have the New York Jets at the San Francisco 49ers. Aaron Rodgers will officially make his return, assuming there are no setbacks in training camp or preseason, which as of now, we still have a couple more months, but everything is looking like he'll be back on the field without any issues. So that should be a fun matchup to end week 1. Now moving into the international games, beginning in week 5, we have the Jets at the Vikings, although I say at the Vikings, but they'll be playing in London. So Jets and Vikings to begin the international season, week 5. Next, we got the Jags at Bears, which will be week 6. And then something that's kind of interesting for the Jaguars, they will also be playing week 7 against the Patriots. So will the Jaguars just be hanging over in London for 2 weeks? Are they still going to travel home to travel back to London? I'm not really sure. That will be really interesting how they handle that situation. Some of you might be wondering why the Jaguars are always playing in London like this. It is because their owner, he does have a football club or a soccer club over there. And that is why that they are usually the go-to guinea pigs for these international games. And then to finish us off in Germany, we had the Giants and Panthers in week 10. Those Germans are not going to get a very good football team. That's not going to be a fun game to watch, but it is football nonetheless. So we'll see. We'll see how that game turns out, but it could be 3-3. And then moving on to the Thanksgiving games, which will be just a few weeks after that Germany game. We'll be starting off with the Bears at Lions. That should be a fun one. I like the division matchup there. That'll be great, being able to see Caleb Williams and Jared Goff in primetime. And then we've got the Giants and Cowboys playing Thanksgiving, of course. And I think this is where the NFL messed up. I really think they should have had the Texans here in this spot. It would have been absolutely awesome. Of course, Thanksgiving, where I am in Texas, a lot of family, and of course some families Cowboy fans, the other family is Houston Texan fans. So that really would have been a lot of fun just to have that family together. But nonetheless, it'll be Giants-Cowboys. The Cowboys will easily beat the Giants. They shouldn't have any issues. And then to finish off the matchup, we will have the Dolphins at Packers. So at least the Thursday night game will be good. So you'll be able to finish your Thanksgiving food, enjoy some time with family and friends, and then enjoy a great football game to finish this off. And we are having another Black Friday game. This time it'll be the Raiders at Chiefs. Maybe you tune in for the first quarter, the first half, but the Chiefs will probably run away with this one as well. And then finally moving on to the Christmas games, because of course the NFL has to compete with the NBA and show that they are the better league. And yes, this is very unique. They are playing on Wednesday. We start off with the Ravens at Texans, and then the Chiefs at the Steelers to finish off your Christmas day. So that should be really interesting. Also, these two games will be streaming on Netflix. Yes, you heard me right. These two games will be on Netflix. So that will be really interesting. I'm not sure. I'll be really interested to see the viewership numbers with these being on Netflix compared to how they would be if they were on everyone's regular local channel. Now, they will be on the local channel, of course, for the teams that they're playing there. You know, they'll be on the local channel for Houston. But as far as anyone else that's outside of Texas, probably, you'll have to get Netflix to watch them. Now we're going to dive into the Houston Texans schedule for the 2024 season. So just a quick glance before we get too deep into it. Anything with an asterisk, it is a primetime matchup. I do have the Texans going 12-5, and a green check mark means I've got them winning, and a red X means I do have them losing, obviously. So we're going to start week 1 with the Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. I was very tempted to give the Texans a loss here, but with Anthony Richardson returning from the injury he had last year, with the new signings of the Texans, I'm going to give the Texans just a slight edge. I will think this comes down to a game-winning field goal or game-winning drive, but I will go ahead and have the Texans beating the Colts in Indianapolis, but I do think we could see a slip-up here just because it's a division game. Next, we do have the Bears at the Texans, Sunday Night Football. This should be exciting. Caleb Williams in action, C.J. Stroud in action, week 2. This is a good game. I do, of course, have the Texans winning. And then they do go on the road in week 3 to play the Vikings and possibly J.J. McCarthy. So the first 3 weeks, you could say Anthony Richardson is a rookie quarterback. You know, he's going into year 2, but he really only played a handful of games. And then possibly, well, we know Caleb Williams will be starting week 2, and then possibly J.J. McCarthy week 3. So the Texans are starting off their first 3 games with really young and inexperienced quarterbacks as far as NFL goes. Our next weeks, we got the Jaguars at Houston in week 4. I do have the Texans go ahead and winning against the Jacksonville Jaguars, putting them away, no issues. And then week 5, the Bills at Texans. Return of Stephon Diggs, of course, Josh Allen. So we'll see. You could see. I was tempted to possibly give the Texans the loss here as well. But the Bills, just like the Chiefs, they do tend to kind of start off slow. Josh Allen, he's got a bunch of new weapons with, he's not with Stephon Diggs anymore. Gabe Davis isn't on that team anymore. So we could see him take just a couple more month or 2 before they start getting in that rhythm. And then week 6 to finish it off, the Texans at the Patriots. Possibly Drake May, possibly Jacoby Brissett. But again, if it's Drake May, another inexperienced quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, he's a great backup, journeyman quarterback. But regardless, I do think the Texans have that advantage. So if they can start off at 5-1 or 6-0, which I do have them at 6-0, that would be tremendous to start the year. But we'll see if they can stick to the script. The Texans at the Packers, though. This is where I have their first loss coming in Lambeau. That's always a tough environment. Jordan Love, if he's slinging the rock like he did last year, he will be very tough to take down. So I do have the Texans losing. And then week 8, the Colts are back in Houston. I do go ahead and have the Colts losing here again to the Texans. So the Texans, I do have them sweeping the Colts, which if that happens, that would be great. Being able to get the Colts out of the schedule early in the year, I think is better for the Texans because, again, Anthony Richardson trying to develop, trying to get comfortable in the system. I think that will help the Texans. And then to finish off week 9, we've got the Texans at Jets. Thursday Night Football, which is also Halloween. But I do have Aaron Rodgers getting the win on Spooky Night. With the Texans finishing the first 9 weeks going 7-2. If this is how they finish week 9, They're looking great heading into the second part of the season. Week 10, the Lions at Texans. I have them losing again, though. This time Sunday Night Football. But I do have them making a comeback, beating the Cowboys on Monday Night Football because they are the best team in Texas. We will see C.J. Stroud take down Micah Parsons. If you haven't seen, Micah and C.J. are having a great offseason. They're hanging out, doing stuff. But I do think this will be a fun and awesome matchup, so I am looking forward to this. Like I said, this is where I would have the Texans and the Cowboys playing Thanksgiving. They're already playing in the year, so why they don't have them playing Thanksgiving, I'm not sure. I think that's a miss by the NFL, but whatever. Also, of note, if you notice, the Texans do have 3 primetime games in a row from Week 9 to Week 11. So hopefully C.J. Stroud is healthy and not injured, or else those will be pretty boring games. Then our first look at the Titans, as we haven't faced them until now in Week 12. I do have the Texans beating the Titans, going ahead and going into Jacksonville and taking down the Jaguars. And of note, if you take a look at Week 18, I do have the Texans sweeping the division, possibly. Again, if this is the record going into Week 17, then we possibly could see them lose to the Titans, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. If the Texans are able to go into Week 14, their bye week sitting at 10-3, that will be an absolute amazing season, would be incredible. And if they are 10-3, this bye week will be very much appreciated. I was thinking the bye week would be closer to about Week 9 or 10, but the Week 14 bye week, if everyone, this will be really crucial for the end part of the year, depending on injuries and how teams are sitting. So, like I said, if we can get to double-digit wins or at least 8 or 9 wins by the bye week, we'll be looking good heading into the final year or final home stretch with playoffs down the road. Then after the bye week, we do have the Dolphins at Texans. I do have the Texans going ahead and beating the Dolphins. Should be a good matchup. These final 3 matchups here will be all really good. As we see Week 16, the Texans at Chiefs. This is Saturday Night Football. I do have them taking the L, though, as I think Patrick Mahomes, he will be fully in sync. And I just don't see them facing them and lighting it up. And then Week 17, the Ravens at Texans, which is, again, like I said, Christmas. Wednesday Night Football, I do have the Ravens coming in and beating the Texans as well. And then Week 18, the Texans at Titans. You could see a loss here depending on if the Texans had the division wrapped up. But regardless, I went ahead and gave them the win, which if that is the case and everything sticks to the script, you could see the Texans sitting at 12-5. If they're 12-5, I think they'll be fighting for probably the second division. I don't think they'll get the first division this year. I think they're still maybe a couple playmakers away from really making a run. But you never know. If the Chiefs have a down year, if the AFC North, if they beat each other up, you never know. But regardless, the Texans sitting at 12-5. They will make the playoffs. I'm fairly confident in that. I do have money on them winning the division as well. So we will see how the NFL season plays out. I'm super excited. You know, every week we're getting closer and closer to the NFL season, and this should be a great year for football.
And that will do it for today's videos, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, as always, make sure you smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bells to get all my notifications. Don't forget to put God above all. I'll see you next time.